Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? It's been a minute. Hello. Welcome. I've missed you all. Welcome, welcome. I don't know, Kate. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Good morning, good morning. Yes, we did, Alejandro. We move in next month. Yay. Yes. Yeah, Michael and I found a place, so we're moving out next month. So I'll have a new office behind me soon. Thank you, thank you. All righty, welcome. I've missed you all. It's been so long. Hi, friends. No, that one's gonna stay here. Oh, yes, I know. It feels like forever. I was like, oh, hot seat coaching. What's that? All right. So, as more and more of you pour in this morning, if there's anybody who wants to get coached today, go ahead and type into the chat anything you'd like to be coached around. I am too, Jessica. So excited. That's okay, Terry. Oh, Joe, my fiance and I found an apartment, so that's where we're moving out soon. Okay, so I see a couple monies. Oh, I know. I'm so excited for everybody at Activate. Okay, anything you guys would like to be coached around? What kind of specific trauma, Deb? Mm, I'm I'm having an internal debate on whether or not you need to process a bit more and oh my gosh, I love that, Joe. That's lots of stress. Okay. Um, Deb, I'm gonna pull you up. That one. This is gonna be good. Hello, hello. Oh, you are on mute, so I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. You're on mute.
Oh, I said I'm a mess today. I'm sorry. I was, not camera ready, no makeup, and out in the rain picking up my yard for the hurricane. So lots
No
going
worries.
on.
No worries. Okay. So, what would be the most important thing to talk about today?
Okay. And I'm going to keep it together and I'll keep the personal details minimal.
It's okay.
But last Thursday we had a trauma in my family. It involved a suicide. And this person was very depressed and I didn't live close by. It's actually my sister's husband. Um, and he's been depressed for a long time. And so it just did not turn out the way that I thought it was going to. And I've been processing a lot, but it's thrown me into like this whole existential crisis, really, in a selfish way, and making me question all kinds of things, understandably. And then trying to be there as a support system for my family, and then dealing with my own emotions towards it. And then also, just the whole spiritual part of it. It's like just a lot. It's just a lot. So, so yeah, I feel like this inner conflict has come up, like this clash of like, well, this is what my true core spiritual beliefs are, and then this is reality, and they just like clashed. And I'm like, just feeling a little bit, obviously still processing. It's been a few days, but just kind of spinning. And so I wasn't going to come on today, but then when I didn't see anybody else speak up, I'm like, you know what? This group is going to hear this differently than my other support network that I'm processing this with. So I felt like it was kind of a safe space. So yeah.
Always. Okay. So, what would you like to have at the end of this session?
Just sounds funny, but just to kind of stop the spinning. um, and it's hard to describe, but it's almost like a realignment with my value system, right? Like it's kind of thrown a lot of stuff into not question, but I guess almost like my values and my actions in my life, how I take them. So it's almost what I'm looking at the end is just to kind of like I know it's going to be okay, and I know everything is perfect. I know all that, and this is going to be painful, and that's okay too. And I have to feel that, but at the same time, I feel like it's just this major shift in me. So just getting a little bit more understanding of like what's shifted, because right now it feels like I'm a little detached from it. So maybe just be a little bit more grounded in terms of the overall impact of the situation. Just, yeah, maybe chunk me down a little. Yeah.
Perfect. So, how are you going to know that you are realigned with your values? You've understood what shifted and you're grounded in the impact it's had.
Um, my next steps are going to feel a little bit more effortless. Like right now, I just find myself just um, a little disconnected. So just knowing like this is the next best thing to do, and I'm taking the right steps. Yeah.
How do you know you're taking the right steps?
Ooh, that's a good question. And the other part of it is that I can't be there with my sister. I can't be there because of the storm and everything. And then we also have a family wedding at the same time. So it's just been a lot of, so there's a lot of guilt there. There's a lot of that coming up. Um, it's getting that realignment. Like I know everything is perfect and it's okay and it's happening as it needs to be. Maybe just feeling like being able to rest in that a little easier. Because right now I'm thinking that logically, but I'm not feeling that. So I guess it will just feel a little bit more um, engaged, really.
So, what did it represent to you that this event happened?
It's just sad. Um, it's just such a waste, you know, like the typical things that come up, like this person had an amazing life and just couldn't see it. And obviously it's how they viewed the world, and other people around that could see it differently, but how they saw it was obviously not the same. So I guess there's some control issues. Like I tried to help. There's that guilt. Um, and at the same time, it's almost like resignment, you know, like things are going to happen the way they happen. You know, I can really only control my actions. Um, there's still a little bit of shock involved in all of it because this is where I've been going through doing, doing the internal work. This stuff is, this week on this stuff is, as much as I say I'm resigned and okay with all the outcomes, it's a control thing. Like I'm trying to take these inspired actions, to take the next steps in life. But in the end, it's like, who knows what's going to happen, right? So
What's your definition of control?
I guess taking the most amount of inspired action to achieve a desired outcome, my desired outcome.
Where else in your life do you feel like you don't have any control?
Hmm. Yeah, the last year's been pretty much a whirlwind for me, financially, vocationally, um, still adjusting to all those changes. And that's why I feel like this is kind of like the universe has been pushing me towards these shifts. And this is just kind of like the cherry on it that's just like, okay, you know, um, you may have all these goals and these desires and these plans, but it doesn't really matter in the end what your inspired actions are. That's kind of what I'm struggling with right now. Like, I feel like I try to do what I think is the next best action, but in the end, I don't know what's going to happen, you know? And can I share something else too that's been bothering me that I know this group will understand, that like talking to my husband, he's like, so a few months ago, I was talking to my sister and about how to help him. And I said, he's gonna have to hit rock because he refused any help for a very long time. And I said, unfortunately, there's gonna be like a rock bottom, and you're gonna have to ask for help, and that may be involve calling the police. And you need to be prepared for that. And I had this vision. I had like this image in my head. And when things transpired, when she called me, it was almost like that. And she said, I feel your voice telling me this is happening now. Like what you said, I may have to do, I have to do. And the circumstances as they happen, it's freaking me out a little bit because I feel like that's my intuition, right? But was it like a premonition? I don't know. And I really processed that a lot. At the same time, I feel like my sister needed to hear that. I helped in some way, but there's just this really, that's just in my head, like, why did I say that when I did? Could I have done more? I don't know. I don't know.
So, what scared you when that premonition or intuition or whatever you want to call it, when it actually happened? What scared you about that?
It was almost like, did I breathe energy into that, coming into reality? And I'm talking to my husband, he's like, thoughts don't become reality. And I'm like, oh, okay, we can't have this conversation right now. and, and then I'm like, or was it something else? Or was it like a premonition to be able to tell my sister, this is the action you need to take in the near future? Like, I don't know. I don't think I've had something that my intuition is very strong, but that one just kind of freaks me out a little bit, So I'm like, when it happened, it was just kind of like almost like time suspended, It was like, wait, did this already happen? What it just was a very disembodying feeling, which I think is a normal stress trauma response, right? And then that kind of fed into it. And I was like, wait a second, did I think this was going to happen? Then I got into the whole, did I cause it? Which I know is not true, right? But still, your head goes there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you be grateful for about having that premonition a month ago?
Well, I think it helped. Um, I think it, well, it was a reminder that to listen, right? That, if it's trust my intuition more. And if it's speaking to you, there's a reason, and it's not always, as you say, might not always be good, but it's um, necessary, right? Yeah, I feel grateful that I did share that because in some way I feel like I don't know, maybe I helped my sister um, in that situation, and it caused things to turn out in a more positive way than they could have gone. It could have escalated worse. I don't know. And then I think the biggest part of me, I think why I decided last minute to come on today is just I'm tired. Tired about thinking about all this stuff and all these you know, that's where I think I was looking for like the chunking down and the grounding because I'm tired of I'm tired of spiritual work. Oh, what does this mean? And I don't understand it. What is my projection? And blah, 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 blah. I just want to live, right? And that's where it brought me back to. It's like I am living, and that's what I appreciate most. And then I go into all this stuff and I'm tired of it. And it's only been a few days, so I get it. It's normal and it's healthy, but I just want to sit and eat cookies on the couch and not do anything.
How is
So
that a problem?
it's not. And actually, it's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
No, I just kind of shut it down and taking care of necessary stuff and taking care of my stepsister and being there as a support, and that's okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is going to look a little different than normal because everything is still so new, so raw. You're not in any space to find the projection and clean it up. Right now, you need to just see the other side. So really what today is going to be is just coaching around. So like if we think of the grief as this little ball right here, we're going to coach around it. So that way you can objectively look at the grief in the next few weeks and say, okay, I'm ready to see things now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, because it's not fair to you or your unconscious mind and your healing to be like, all right, Deb, what are you projecting? You're going to be like, shoot. No.
Oh yeah, I've already done that a few times and then journaling and I'm just like, okay, I'm tired. Just tired. So, and I think that my gut told me to come on today because I feel like this type of a session would be helpful for other people's learning skill wise too. So I was like, you know what? This doesn't come up that often. So I thought it might be, be a good teaching opportunity for myself and for other folks.
So it's gonna be like a little bit of coaching down to see the other side, a little coaching down to see the other side. And I do want you to know that there is a smaller projection of control in there somehow. And right now it's only like just kind of sort of becoming a problem, but it's not the main. It's just like one of those things. It's like it's a sprinkle on top. Yeah. So I'm curious, what values did you feel got shifted out of alignment?
Um, so I think I get, as far as like goals and things and living purposefully, right? It's always like, what are my inspired actions? What are my inspired actions? What am I do? And I don't have to have the goal, but if I have that vision and I'm taking my next best step towards that, right? What is that inspired action? Um, and I feel like I place maybe too much emphasis, and I think that's where I'm at, is I'm so caught up in the action that I eventually just lose sight of the whole goal in the in the long run. Um, Yeah. And then it's actually kind of a really weird paradox because I'm like, I'm so caught up in the action that I lose the goal. But at the same time, I don't want to miss out on the little things. But the inspired action steps are the little things. So that's where I get into this whole dichotomous thinking, I don't even know if I'm making sense right now, but in my brain it makes
You
sense.
are. You are. Are you, so I want you to just think back to your MPVI really quickly, your chunk size. Are you global to specific, specific to global, just specific, or just global?
I believe I was specific to global.
Okay, that's so what's happened. So, okay, that
Mhm.
makes that's what I was picking up on here, but I wasn't sure if it was just specifics or if it was
Mhm.
specific to global, if you needed the global.
Mhm.
So, really, what is coming up in that is your global's not big enough. Your big picture isn't big enough in the sense
Mhm.
of it seems to be getting lost in the details because it's the details, like the little things, it just falls in line with it.
Mhm.
The big picture is just another one of those little things for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So finding out really what is your overall, what's your goal, what's your big thing, and then breaking the steps down from there. Try, I know your brain might not like it at first, but try global to specific. Try, okay, what's this big thing that I want? And then what are my details?
Yeah.
So I want
Yeah.
to, you're welcome, Kate. So I want you to think, you want to have realignment with your values, understand what's been shifted. You want to be grounded in the impact that of what's happened.
Mhm.
Those are all little steps to something greater. So what is that greater thing that that's leading to?
Yeah. No, I mean, the word that just came to my head is peace. It's really
Okay.
just peace. Yeah. That word came across to me. And that's very cross contextualized because I do that in all aspects of my life, whether it's money or career or a relationship with my husband, everything is, when I step back, I'm like, what is my big picture? And I'm usually, I don't know. I think I know, but then so
So then I want you to paint me a picture of peace. What is peace? What does it look like, sound like, feel like? How do you know you have it?
it's just the quiet. So I actually just did some artwork too. So tangent really quick. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the artist's way. It's a journey to creative intuitive intuition in the creative arts. I'm doing the second class of that, and it's called Vein of Gold, and it's all about your timeline. And it was like, holy crap, it was really, really cool. So we're actually working on art journals that take your timeline. So it's really cool exercise for me because I'm taking my coaching sessions and turning them into art, but then I'm having the learnings at the same time. So I can show you if you want. That's my first page. Um, it's so funny because that's my first page of my journal was
Of course it is.
that inner peace, and it was just that. It's just this gold infinity circulation. So peace is just that quiet, that center. Um, it's kind of the all and everything. It's that homeostasis and quiet and rhythm and balance. Yeah. I have a very clear image of what that is. So, and that's, yeah. It's kind of like source, right? That's just the source energy and everything of itself.
So when you think about finding this peace, how do you know that you have it?
Um, I feel like that's elusive. I don't think you can ever really have it. Like it's all there, but in this physical incarnation and in this state, it's there inside of you, but in this veil of reality or whatever you want to call it, it's really hard to get back to that because you have all those other buffers from getting back to that. And it's for reasons. You can have that learning and that experience. Um, I think that how you have it is like those true, high spiritual enlightened experiences, like the whole Satori thing, or I haven't done ayahuasca or anything like that, but I think those are the only ways, like, I think that have that true experience. What's a goal? I don't know if I can have it in this, physically.
um, so one second.
Yeah.
All right.
No worries.
So um I'm curious, do you believe that you can ever have that peace?
Yes. I mean, I have it now.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I have it now. It's in me. It is me. It's all of us. That's our true essence. Yes.
And the way that you were describing it, you're like really just those like really high spiritual ones they have, like they're like the closest to, they have more of it essentially. That's what I heard.
Closer to it. Yeah. Yeah.
So how, if at all, is the peace that you have not enough?
I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of not enough. I feel like that's just the human experience, honestly. Like I just gotta do this shit, right? You just have it's there for a reason, it's there for a purpose. It is there. And the reason that you're blocked from it are these things that you need to experience and feel and go through and learn from and add to that. It's the whole purpose for it at the same time. Right?
So then what really is your goal? Because you already have the peace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess just navigate this whole thing. Maybe it is just, I think I mentioned the word before. It's like resignation. Like, am I really okay? Like, I feel like there's this theme in the back of my head is I just need to let go, right? I need to, and it's not so much that I'm holding on to the outcomes. It's hard to explain. Let me see if I can get my words around it. Because all these experiences, like I'm okay with at the same time. Like there's pain, there's joy. Like I'm okay with all of them. And I think that is part of the peace because you can't know the peace until you know the pain, right? I think I just feel tired of that.
So then
Right?
what do you take it to mean about yourself that you're okay with both sides of the coin?
Um, I don't know. I think that's a good thing, right? I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Great. So what do you take it to mean about yourself? I don't care if the word's positive or negative.
Yeah. What do I take that to mean about myself? Well, I mean, I think it just is, it lends to self-awareness, you know. I do consider myself very self-aware. Doesn't make it easier though, right? it's still hard to kind of balance that, especially in situations like this, or there are two sides. I know it's all okay. It still hurts, but I'm okay with it. Um,
And when you have self-awareness, what do you have?
and the word foresight keeps coming into my head. I don't know why, but it's insight and foresight. I don't know. And maybe I'm putting too much pressure on myself to have that foresight. Like, you're so self-aware and you have, your shit together. You should know what the next best step is and be okay and just let go. And who cares anyway? Right?
What if you were to stop taking inspired action steps?
I know. I think you coached me on this before.
Probably.
Yeah, there's just this, you still have to take the grounded action. Like, right? You can dream and you
Oh,
can have
answer the
visions.
question. Answer the
Yeah.
question.
Well, nothing would happen
How is that a problem?
because that's not living. Like, you're
So what's
here
your
to
definition of living?
experience. Um, I was gonna say taking action, but it really is. I just lost the question. Did you say your definition of living? That's crazy. Is that what the question was?
I know why you lost it, but I will let you answer it now that it came back.
Yeah, I feel like so there's the rational part of my brain, and then there's the, woo part of my brain. And the rational part of it, you gotta live life to the fullest and you have to take advantage of the time. And you only and that's probably where all this situation is triggering stuff for me is we have so many gifts and so many things to be grateful for. Just take advantage of all of it, and be grateful for it. So if I'm not doing that, it's kind of a waste of the experience, you know. Yeah. Which the situation is definitely a trigger of. Yeah.
Can I state an observation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your definition of control and your definition of living are the same, which
Wow.
means living is actually like you can't live if you don't have control.
Yeah. And that's probably why this situation is triggering me so much. But that's what I mean with the conflict. Because I feel like the spiritual side of myself doesn't believe that. It knows that's bullshit. Like, but the rational, conscious brain of mine's like, there's definitely, I don't know if it's a part or a conflict or what, but I believe that, but I don't body that and live that way, you know?
It's not appearing to be a part. It's more your neurology is holding the paradox. Your neurology can see both sides and just can't decide which one it wants to go down. Right? It's like I know both of these are true. And I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
So it's less of like jumping between parts and more like your neurology is holding a paradox of two things being true at the same time. And you're like, cool, I'm not sure what to do with this.
Which is really crazy because I think that's so crucial to have. Like, I think that's a really good thing to have. I think, is it Dr. Demartini always talks about like that's the key to your value system is being able to embody the paradox. The irony in you saying that to me is I'm like, wow, that's really true. But on the other hand, I'm like, Well, that's really good. Right?
From what I'm hearing, that's going to give you exactly what you want. When you can embody the paradox, you are in alignment with your values.
Yeah. And that does ring true. And I think it's just when you get into the day to day, when I wake up in the morning, I don't think I'm embodying the paradox. I think, okay, what's the next best thing for me to do today?
What do you say in the morning to get yourself out of bed?
Um, well, this week's kind of been crazy.
Which
It's
is
a
why
have to. It's a have to. You have to, have to. Yeah. I have to get up. I have to get this done. Yeah. That hasn't changed. It still have to.
it needs change.
Oh.
So I think so with the living and the control. Is it okay if I make another observation? With the living equals control, there's also the paradox of I have to and I don't have to. Except this paradox, you're like, I'm going to go down this route. And it's like the have to, have to, have to, have to, have to, have to, have to. Versus now you have this paradox of like, okay, well, like, I can't live without control. And also, you're like, I'm not sure where to go. So you're like, how do you describe that? You're almost like in limbo between both of them because you're not making any decisions based off of the information you have. You're just like, okay, what's the next detail? Which makes sense why you lose sight of the big picture.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's funny because that's some of the self coaching and journaling I've been doing this week has been very similar in that theme. It's just about letting go. Like, right? Just I have the vision, trust what comes up, and just move forward and just let go. Like that keeps coming up, to let go, to let go. And then that might be the control, like maybe that's the let go, the control and the grip and I don't know. But so rationally, my brain's thinking, I just need to, you know, let go and trust.
How, if at all, I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this question. How, if at all, unconsciously, are you terrified of letting go of the control? Because then that would mean giving up your life. And the suicide was just a physical manifestation of what would happen if you let go of that control.
Yeah, there's something there. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I keep pulling out is, like he was so into he couldn't see the big picture. He could only see all those little things and lost sight of the big picture and everything that life had for him. Um,
And how, if at all, was that vision that you had a month ago? Yes, true for him, but also something you're afraid of for your future if you let go.
I didn't think on that one. I don't know. So for me, I don't, I mean, obviously it's not this place of darkness by any means. Mine's like the opposite. And that's what I was saying to my husband. I said, mine's like the opposite. Like I have this, obviously things like this make you appreciate, like telling my husband, I'm like, oh, you need to do more for the people you love. Why they're here. And maybe there's part of it there is like, maybe it's that guilt of I'm not doing enough to appreciate what I have, you know. So no, I try, I really do. Try to do my gratitude every day.
So what does letting go look like?
It feels like a breath of relief. But it's scary because it's just trust. There's some issue with trust there. Again, I'm okay with all the outcomes and they're all perfect on the one hand, but it's really freaking scary on the other hand. But even if it's bad, I'm okay with it. So it's like, here we go again, you know?
So Jessica and I were talking about this. Gosh, was it? I don't even know what time is anymore. When was trainers training? This lifetime? We were talking about this, and we were talking about grit in the sense of things are hard. They're hard when you have everything you want, and they're hard when you have absolutely nothing. So you got to pick your hard. It's hard to be broke and it's hard to be rich. It's hard to be depressed and it's hard to be happy. There's just different challenges that come with different things. So what brought this up was, yes, grit, that like Jessica is like drilling into all of our brains, is like redefining that inner strength. And it's also like there is still a little bit of away from in some of the things we do, and that's okay. It's okay to have some away from. It's still movement. Because if you're in a state where you're not moving and away from is the only way to get you to do something, how is that a problem? It's not.
Right.
And I feel like everybody needs to hear that. Like, I feel like we get so caught up in, oh my gosh, everything we have to do has to be a toward. I can't do anything unless it's positive and a toward. Sure, and how much longer are you going to stay in your stuck to try and make something a toward versus get out of the stuck into an away from and then change the away from into a toward later down the road? So Deb, it's really about picking your hard. What hard are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the hard of having to trust even though it's scary? Or are you going to focus on the hard where you're stuck in this spiral existential crisis and you're like, I don't know how to get out of this?
Yeah.
Because both, they're not easy, and they're probably, neither of them are probably fun. And when you know you've already done the hard part, which is being okay with all the outcomes, that's the part that most people struggle with, is just accepting all the outcomes. You're there, you've accepted the outcomes.
Have I? Why would I have such a trust issue with letting go if I really was? Or am I just telling myself that? Right?
Because it's not an outcome that you need to trust, it's yourself.
Yeah. That's true. That makes sense.
That's the scary thing, is having to trust yourself regardless of whatever the outcome is. You're fine with that. It's having to put the trust in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good observation.
So I want you to think about a time when you did trust yourself, fully trusted yourself, regardless of what the outcome was. What did it feel like in your body? Can you remember
I had
that?
a hard time coming up with one. Honestly.
I know there is one.
I mean, yeah, we can talk about the recent one where I just, like I felt like I needed to have that conversation with my sister, and it was easy, like I felt like she needed to hear that at the time, even though it wasn't an easy thing to say. there wasn't a second thought. It was that is probably the key one. It's not a second guessing. It just intuition out, intuition out. It wasn't analyzing it, thinking about it. It just happened. I didn't think like, should I say this or not say this? It just said it,
Mhm.
you know?
So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to go back to that time. And I want you to just hear what you hear, feel what you feel, see what you see about when you had the utmost self-trust in yourself to say that to your sister. What did it feel like in your body?
Yeah, it's exactly how I described that piece before, which is calm and quiet and balanced and rhythmic, it was all those things. Yeah. Yeah.
So my love, it's not as scary as you made it out to be.
Yeah.
It's the exact thing that you're striving for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can you move forward knowing that the peace that you have inside of you when you trust yourself, regardless of the outcome, what can be different going forward?
Yeah. I think yeah, words are having a hard time, but I need to get away from the words, if that makes sense. So I just need to go in and trust and feel in versus putting words to it, because the whole language piece of it just fucks everything up, right? You start trying to describe things and analyze things and assign a meaning to it, and it's all irrelevant. And that's where that grounding comes from. It's not anything you can describe in words or label. It doesn't have to have a described meaning. It's more of a sense than a thought. Yeah.
So how would you say you feel with your values now?
I don't know why I'm so afraid of them, because it's powerful stuff. And I think that's the other part that scared me. Like, wow, I never had anything that powerful before. So that scared me a little bit. Um, so it's probably just trusting that sense. Yeah.
Freaking powerful, Deb.
Yeah.
And
And the
everybody
words get in the way. Yeah.
everybody knows it. It's like what you were saying earlier, right? It's like they can't see it, but everybody around them knows how amazing they are and what they have. Same goes for you with how powerful you are and how easy it can be to trust in yourself and have that peace.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I think there's like a denial of that power a little bit, and I'm gonna even get more woo-woo, but when I had a astrological reading, she had it was like a lineage of like female healers, and like she got all weird kinds of weird, not weird, but she said, I don't even know what this means. It was like DNA and this, whatever, but she said it was like a lineage. She kept getting the word lineage, and it was like female healers and stuff like that, like she said the witches and the healers and the midwives and all. I don't even know. She went down some rabbit hole, but on some level, it sounds like there is like maybe this denial of trusting that inner, inner ability and inner strength that we all have. I'm not anything different than anybody else. But yeah, interesting.
So then stepping into yourself, trusting yourself, feeling that peace, you're aligned in your values and you're grounded. what can be different about any further steps?
I don't have to know what they are. They might just come to me that morning when I wake up. And maybe one day my quantify will change to, oh, I want to do this, but for now we'll, tackle other things. It might just
It's
come to me in
okay.
the morning. It might not be get up and look at my list of to-dos. It might just be, and maybe I need to incorporate that practice more, do that as soon as I wake up. And I've gotten away from that.
So knowing that you can go in and trust yourself and have that peace, and it just feels, it's stillness, right? It's almost like a steadfast balance of source, this gold infinity. And you are in alignment with your values. You're grounded. You're embracing that power. The next steps will just come to you. You don't need to strive for them. You know that they're going to happen because you're brilliant. So what can be different about what happened in your family? How can you see things differently?
Yeah. Well, that's just kind of lends more to my role, which is my role in my family, is like I'm always the one, and then I'm not complaining about it, but I am like the mediator and the communicator and the voice of reason. I am all those things, and it's probably times like this when that strength is needed most. So yeah, doesn't make it not hard or draining of my own power, but yeah,
Do you feel
yeah,
that your perspective has shifted?
yeah. It has. I mean, it's still because it's still new. Obviously, you still go back to you know, how did he not see this? How did it get to the, all those normal questions that you're going to ask in a situation like this. And at the same time, again, it's that whole paradox. I know why, is you apply all the NLP stuff and, you know, he just couldn't see it. That was his version of the world. And that's never going to change, right? That's never going to change. And yeah, but
So with the grief being this ball here and us working out here, do you feel that
mhm,
out here has shifted?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
The grief, reach out to somebody to do the grieving process.
yeah, yeah. I will need to, because in the meantime, it's been all the logistical
Yeah.
piece of it, but yeah, that probably should be work too. And this is somebody I knew for 35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So reach out to someone, evolve up for the grieving
yeah,
process.
yeah, that would really be helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I wanted to jump on, because I knew I'm like, I don't know who would talk about this, like because
Do you
it's on a
feel like
level that
do you still feel like you're spinning and spiraling?
no, I really don't. And I honestly don't even know what to think next. And I think that's
Good.
okay.
It's
I'm just,
okay.
and I think it's okay to be tired. Like maybe
Yeah.
that's why. That's
Yes.
my, just it's okay. Maybe I'll go take a nap. Maybe it's freaking raining again in Florida.
Yeah. Go take a nap
Yeah.
and eat cookies on the couch,
Yeah.
and then reach out to somebody to do the grieving process because you deserve to start that as soon as
Yeah.
possible. And then when you sleep and your unconscious mind grieves, and then when it's done, we can really come in and break this complex equivalent and all of that stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. I knew this would help.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. And again, thank you for taking on, because I know it's not the typical coaching topic. So, and I,
Good.
again,
I
didn't even
love it.
question. I was like, I can't, nope. I just jumped in. So,
Yeah, that was great. It was
yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Just let us know if you need anything from us all.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I do want to open it up to questions. You're totally free from anything we talk about and questions. So as you guys type in your questions, I want to frame something. So the reason I didn't do a full on coaching session is because when there's grief, unresolved grief, or very recent grief happening, you can't coach, can't really do anything around it other than support the client to see any and all positives, to write any and all of the other side. And then I was talking about the grieving process, which is something that you learn at Evolve, I believe. That is where your unconscious mind grieves when you sleep. And then grief is, it's just this like big ball of energy and emotions and all these things. It's not just one thing, which is why we can't just be like, all right, Deb, let's go by your timeline and release grief. It's like, no, it's thoughts and emotions and all of these things jumbled together in this big mess. Have you ever like had tangled yarn? And you're like, I don't even know where to start. Okay, that's what your unconscious mind does as you sleep. It untangles it and processes so that way you can still function in your everyday. So that's why this coaching was a bit different, because it wasn't as much coaching and more of like, okay, here's like an observation, here's a reframe, here's like, we're going to work outside of the grief. So I wanted to frame that if you were like, what happened? Like, that was weird. That wasn't normal coaching. What, like, you didn't build the other side like normal. So any questions on today? Okay, great question, Leona. So will the quantum release? So yes, and in the grieving process, there's a couple different steps. One of those steps, we do use the energy release process, and you still have to go through and process that big ball of grief before you can go through and do like a quantum release and like release any of the negative thoughts and emotions. So when you're in the grieving process and you're doing the energy release process, it's normally just to like help get like the energy, or like some people like it's like, oh, it's like a weight is on me or things like that. So it's to relieve that feeling. And we haven't necessarily gone through and like shifted anything neurologically until the grieving is completed. But that was a great question. So yes, it will after it's been processed. Great question, Kate. So there's a couple different things that the grieving process can be useful for. So there's unresolved grief, where the thing that you're grieving feels as if it had just happened yesterday, and it's something that happened like 20 years ago. So like my family knows another family whose daughter passed in a car accident. It's been almost 10 years, yet her grief is as if it happened yesterday. So that's like unresolved, unprocessed grief. Then there's grief where you kind of just like, you might have ignored it, or you might have suppressed it, or you might have just been like, I'm going to put that in a box over here and I'm not going to look at it for the next 30 years of my life. And then all of a sudden something happens and you're like flooded with like, oh my goodness. So there's a couple different things that can come up around grief. There's in the grieving process, there's questions to ask to assess like, okay, where are you at in the grieving process? How fresh is it? Or like all of those things. So it can absolutely be beneficial for you, even if it's not fresh grief. Great question. Any other questions? Oh, got it. It could be this, the style of coaching could be if it's at the point where you're not able to look at any of the like projections, the negative thoughts, negative emotions, and you're like Deb, right? She's like, I feel like I'm like in this like existential crisis, like spiraling, and I'm tired, and there's all these things, and I've been trying to do this, and it's just like one thing after another. You might need to get them out of that. So Deb was way up in the clouds, so we brought her down, but we chunked her down into positive. So if you're like, oh my goodness, I think I need that. Mhm. So then, yeah, so it could be 100%. All right, everybody. Thank you, Deb, for sharing with us and allowing us to hold the space for you. Send you love.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it because this is a safe space. So thank you guys for allowing it to. I needed it.
Yes. Yes. And you deserve it. So thank you. Thanks everybody for holding that space, just being amazing in general. I know you're in like, I don't know if you're directly in a hurricane path, and I know things are real crazy over on that side of the world. So if you're over there, stay safe. We're sending love. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody. Bye.